I'm going to show you how to pipe these really simple but really beautiful anemone flowers. They've got this real stark contrast with a black centre and white petals, and they add a really lovely striking look to your bouquets. The colours I'm using are Pro Gel Black. You don't need to colour much buttercream, so it will come out black for you. And then Colour Meal Whitener. And again, I don't use very much of that because I'm not keen on the flavour. Crumb coat your cupcake with white buttercream. Now the piping tip I like to use for this is a Gem 123. It's this crescent shaped piping tip. If you're left-handed, you could use a GG 1061 and it curves the other way for you. It'll be slightly thinner, but it's got the right angle curve for you. This piping tip has got a fat end at the bottom, and the very tip of it curves around and it's thinner, which gives you the nice edge of those petals. And then for the centers, with the black buttercream, I'm going to use a number 10 round piping tip. You could use any larger round that you've got, or you could snip an amount off the end of a piping bag. And for the stamen, I'm using a number 2 round, but again, if you haven't got one, just snip a tiny amount off the end of a piping bag. So remember, you don't want too much buttercream in your bag. Push it all to the bottom. Make sure your bag is nice and tight before you start piping, and that you've got a good grip around it. Now you want this crescent shaped part of the tip facing up towards you, so you've got the thin end of the piping tip pointing towards the end of the cupcake, and this fat part towards the centre of the cupcake. I'm going to put 4 markers around the edge of the cake, because I'm going to put 4 petals on. So that's going to be my marker for the centre of each petal. Because when we start piping, I want to pipe a semicircle, so I'm going to turn my wrist right around at an angle so that I'm piping around the edge of that cupcake case. So line the edge of the tip up with the cupcake case so you know where to begin. Turn your wrist, and then as you pipe, bring it round in a circle, stop piping and come off. Now go to your next marker and put in your next petal, so line it up, turn your wrist, and then pipe all the way round. Keep squeezing as you go, stop squeezing and come off. So you can really see how much I'm turning my wrist here to get the shape of those petals. So come all the way round and then pipe your semicircle, stop piping and come off. And now tighten up your piping bag, and if you've got any buttercream on the piping tip, wipe it off on a piece of paper towel. Make sure you're holding your tip at the right angle, and we'll put another row of petals in between this first row. So it's exactly the same action. You're going to come round in the centre of that petal, come all the way round, stop piping and come off. Turn the cake, go all the way round, turn the cake, and you fill all of those gaps and neaten off that first row of petals. And there's your 2 rows done. If you like lots of buttercream, you can add another row of petals. I'm going to leave mine here. Now for the centre, I've got a number 10 round here. So push all your buttercream down to the bottom and tighten up your bag. I'm just going to place the piping tip on the cake in the centre of the flower and just squeeze until the buttercream fills that gap, and then stop squeezing and come off. If you've got a little pointy bit on the top, don't worry, when it crosses over you'll be able to just tap your finger on it and it will flatten it out. Now take up your number 2 piping tip, get your bag nice and tight. Now I'm going to put some tiny little dots onto the petals here. They're very random, there's no rules. You don't need very many, but stagger them about a little bit. I'm barely squeezing anything out as I put these on. I'm just touching the piping tip to the petal, giving a tiny little squeeze until it's made a little dot, and then taking it off. You don't need very many. You want them to be a little bit random, fairly close to the center. Now I'm just going to wipe off the piping tip here to make sure it's nice and clean. And then I'm going to pipe some little stamen all the way round that black center. So touch the piping tip onto the very edge of that little black ball. Squeeze, lift and come off. Now you don't have to make these stamen all the same length. They look really good when they're varying lengths. But you do want to go all the way round. So you just touch down, squeeze, lift, come off. Keep turning the cupcake. Remember, if you find it hard to hold the cupcake and pipe with a steady hand, you can lay it down on the table and steady your piping hand, and then just every now and again move the cake round so that you can comfortably pipe all the way round. Wipe off any stragglers on a piece of paper towel. And that is it. That is how you pipe a really simple anemone flower.